How's it going, guys, and welcome to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between Dov Pays, who's going to be playing the Empire, and he's going to be facing off against the High Elves, who are going to be played by Leroy. So let's jump right into this match, guys, and have some fun. So over here initially, you can see that Dov Pays did indeed vanguard a group of Outriders. They're going to be taking some heavy firepower from that High Elf firing line. So the High Elves do have a bunch of archers here in the back line. I don't think he has any Lothran Seaguard, but again, it looks like he has ample defenses with some Spearmen and some Dragon Princes and some other goodies. So as far as the Lord choices, we do have a Prince over here on a Star Dragon, which is always pretty strong, a little bit risky against the Empire because of Outriders, Handgunners, and Nets of Amnichok. Granted, Nets of Amnichok did get nerfed, so now it's a single target ability, so you can't use it as easily as you could before. You actually have to use it just on the Dragon. It's not going to catch anything else nearby, and as such, I found a lot of Empire players are kind of trying different Lords of Magic. I think that Lore of Shadows has made a bit of a comeback, and it's one of the ones that you do see quite a bit more now. So, over here he does have two groups of Outriders as far as Dov's Cav Force. He does have Zentler's Reichsguard. Let's see what other troops he's got in the force. It looks like he does have the Royal Altdorf Griffites. Definitely not a bad choice. Anti-large, armor piercing, do cause fear and terror, and even some of the most elite High Elf infantry. So I don't know if he has any Phoenix Guard or anything like that, but they're actually not immune to psychology. And let's see if the Dragon Princes are. So Dragon Princes, we're going to go ahead and look at the stats right now. So they do have that fire resist. They have the hide, fire, physical. So they're not immune to psychology, which is pretty interesting. I mean, I feel like these guys and Phoenix Guard both should be, just based on lore, but again, what do I know? So the High Elves are going to be advancing. Their main line is going to consist of mostly Spearmen, and it looks like he does have a couple Chevrons on all those. And the High Elf player looks like he's going to be using Apotheosis to heal up his dragon, so definitely some good stuff going there. In the meantime, Dov Pays is going to be positioning out in the open field. For his army, it looks like he does have Spearmen with shields in the front, which are honestly just going to have a wet noodle contest with these Spearmen. Pretty similar stats. I mean, 44, and these guys have 56, but again, theirs is contingent on their martial prowess. So as they get more beat up, they're going to lose those stats, whereas the Spearmen will not. So the Outriders here from Dov Pays are going to be getting some good fire on the Dragon Princes, and I love Outriders. They're probably one of my favorite units on the entire roster from the Empire. Which is mobile, and if the archers do get in range to shoot them, you can simply pull them back, run them to another area in the battlefield, and hopefully get some pretty good value. So Dov does have this Hellblaster volley gun, which has gotten a couple really good volley on these Dragon Princes, and it looks like just in the last moment he's going to be pulling these Spearmen over to protect that. That could have been a catastrophic loss. Had those Dragon Princes been able to get in there, that would have been really bad. But you can see the Hellblaster volley gun shooting into the Dragon. Oh no! Just mowing down that entire front line of Spearmen there. That is so brutal. And I think the High Elf player, realizing how big of a threat, is just going to go balls deep in this thing. He gets the chariots coming in. The Spearmen were facing the wrong way, so they're just going to get monster mashed right here. That's such a rough start. I have that happen to me all the time. It's just like, you're just repositioning them. They end up facing the wrong way, and it's just like, oh man, it can be so bad. So the Hellblaster volley gun did some good damage. You can see the silver bullets in the back. Dov does have some pretty good layers here, so he put these guys in the back, so obviously knowing a fight would probably happen here, he could then get some pretty good overwatch. And he does also have the Royal Altdorf Griffites fighting with Earthblood and all kinds of shenanigans going on. So the Reichland Runefang, also here from KARL, which is going to give them 26 melee attack, so I haven't seen that in quite some time. But they are putting a dent in these Dragon Princes, but they're probably going to start taking some damage once these buffs wear out. In the meantime, the High Elf player is going to be getting in the back with the Ilthamar Chariot. He also has a mage with high magic on a chariot. And he just runs right through those silver bullets. So Dov is going to be running over towards the edge of the map right here to try and get some distance. But that is a very risky gambit, because if they get chased and pursued, and then if they break, they're just going to run right off the map, which means you're going to lose them for the rest of the battle. KARL, man. He just took a whooping right there. So an Arcane Unforging going down with high magic, and also the Prince, and it looks like he's able to overwhelm the Royal Altdorf Griffites. No, they're actually still in pretty good shape, but they don't have too many models, I suppose, and there's a ton of Dragon Princes and Chariots and just all kinds of funny business going on. So the bounce bar are pretty even at this point. In the front line, you can see the Spearmen are just fighting, and it's, like I said, it's a bit of a wash. I mean, they're just going to literally just whack each other with wet noodles for the next, 15 minutes. Sigmar Sun's over here fighting the good fight against the Spearmen. Definitely a better engagement, as opposed to regular Empire Spearmen. And the High Elf Archers are just shooting in, but honestly, they don't have too many good targets. And it looks like Zentler's Reichsguard going to come in against an unbraced group of Spearmen, so they should be able to do some good damage, especially if Dov can, pull up and back and just, rush through, and it looks like he is going to be doing that. So well played there, getting onto these archers. That's definitely going to feel pretty good. So KARL is definitely in really bad shape. You can see the bounce power is actually going against Dov Pays. The High Elves had a really good initial engagement over here, and it looks like those silver bullets do get pushed off the battlefield, and I think the Royal Altdorf Griffites did too. Yeah, they actually got routed off, and they had I think 18 models left, if I remember correctly, but they got terror routed, I think, by the no, they couldn't have gotten terror routed because they caused fear and terror themselves. So I guess they just broke and got pushed off by this Star Dragon, which really is rough for Dov. In the meantime, the Outriders are going to be shooting up at the Dragon. Definitely some good utility. I think they're faster than Dragon Princes. Wow, Dragon Princes have 78 speed, which is very fast. And you can see a breath attack going down on the Zentler's Reichsguard from the Star Dragon, but he is taking a ton of pressure just from these guys. And he probably is going to want to grab these guys and have them start shooting at the Outriders. Otherwise, they're just going to shoot unimpeded at this Prince. But the archers obviously taking a little bit of damage from the Reichsguard are just a little bit rattled up here. You can see Karl Franz is, helping the boys out in the pits. Looks like Dov is going to be using regrowth and a bunch of other effects here to kind of top him off. And Karl Franz got some pretty good buffs. You can see his weapon strength is 470. I think when you put him on Deathclaw, it goes up to 490. So he's definitely a lot better now, much stronger of a duelist. But anytime you bring Karl Franz, you really need to bring Lore of Life. Otherwise, you're just going to get punished. Of course, Childbringer's a little bit more independent as he can heal with the Reikland Runefang, but Karl Franz definitely needs his boys. So Karl's going to charge in, get a nice rear charge right on that dragon, slays a Wampin, and this could be the point that could be kind of the turnaround or the comeback in the game for the Empire. Karl Franz is going to be chasing down this dragon, and I think he is much faster on the horse, 78 to 80, no, so it's about the same, I guess. And you can see the Outriders and the Silver Bullets have come back, so just a ton of withering firepower right here on this Prince. And Karl Franz is going to be fighting against some of these Chariots and Dragon Princes, but he's pretty much healed to full. So as far as the Empire goes, their front line is kind of getting taken down over the course of this battle. The Swordsmen are holding their own, but the Spearmen are starting to get worn down a little bit. But in the back, it looks like this Life Wizard. So Radagast over here is having a good old time. He's getting just look at him, just like, oh man, he's got arrows in his back and probably a little bit of I thought it was friendly fire for a second, but no, it's just the archers shooting at him, which is pretty good. But he's shutting down those archers, which is buying time for the Outriders, and it looks like the Empire is able to kind of secure their back line. So the Zentler's Reichsguard should be able to pin down this chariot, and Karl Franz coming in, and it looks like some more Outriders, just all kinds of funny business going on. Let's see, yeah, Karl's going to lay whooping on this mage right now. So you can see the mage is at about 1500 HP. Going to be casting Arcane Unfortunate, maybe? No, looks like it was probably Apotheosis on something or other nearby. I don't know, I don't see what it ended up casting, but Karl Franz does just lay a whooping on this mage and actually shatters it, which is going to be huge because that's going to take away magic and Apotheosis. So what you see with the Star Dragon now is what you get. There's going to be no healing. But on that same note, the High Elf player also does a very good job, Leroy, going in over here and taking out the Jade Wizard. So that dragon just runs over that Jade Wizard and just shatters him. And yeah, he's definitely not going to be coming back anytime soon. So a very even trade by both players. The balance of power is now back towards the middle. The one troubling thing for the High Elves is that the Empire does have its gun line back and the Outriders. So there's nothing on the battlefield really. I mean, the mages are gone. The Dragon Princes are pretty much, taken offline here. You can see 5 models right here. And I don't think there's anything that can catch the Outriders right now. And you can see the Sigmar Sons and the Swordsmen, and I think they get the Reikland Runefang. So really cool seeing someone actually use that item. It gives leadership. It's giving the melee attack of these guys up to 47 on the Spearmen, and I think these Swordsmen are up to like 50 something. That's a pretty cool little utility item in these like pitched fights like this. The Dragon Prince, the Prince on the Dragon is going to be flying around just picking off units on the periphery, which definitely is not a bad idea. Karl Franz is just going to be leading the bros, and I really like what they did with that item. I feel like it's very thematic. Like Karl Franz is charging in there and leading his troops with some of his, his badass equipment. So definitely some fun stuff. So the Outriders over here taking a little bit of fire from the Archers, which is definitely a horrible trade for the Outriders. So it looks like Dov is going to be charging in, and they are going to be running as they shoot, which is pretty neat. And they're going to charge all up in those Archers. So just a battle of terrible combat stats. 19, 15, and 24 against 16, 14, and 24. But yeah, they're taking a ton of damage. So very well played by the High Elves over here, just shooting at those Outriders. And if you can get those Outriders off the battlefield, the Star Dragon can start charging without like having to be stressed out about taking fire. So you can see those Archers raining some heavy long-range fire on those guys, and it looks like the High Elves have completely won the ground engagement. You can see the Empire State troops are taken offline. You can see a little bit of Last Samurai action going on as these chariots do get gunned down, but it looks like the Silver Bullets are probably going to get pushed off. Karl Franz coming in though, helping out his bros. He'll definitely be able to hammer down one of these chariots with his heavy melee attack here. And there he goes, putting that thing down. So let's go ahead and take an overarch and look at the battlefield. So the bounce power and everything is pretty darn even right in the middle. Karl Franz is healthy, but aside from that, there's not too many state troops left. The High Elves definitely have the advantage in terms of troops and everything, but they don't have any like heavy hitters left aside from the Star Dragons, who I think is a little bit too low to stand and trade with Karl Franz. He only has 783 HP, so if he does land, Karl Franz could potentially like two-shot him, which would be rough. But it looks like the High Elf troops are going to be engaging on the Silver Bullets, and he really needs to make sure he pushes those off the battlefield. He can't let those live. And there are some Outriders coming back, 25 models here. These ones are at 17 models. And there are some, no, these are just regular swordsmen. So if they can shut down these archers, that would be pretty good. But it looks like Karl Franz is actually able to get the dragon. Looks like a bit of a rear attack going on, but man, he just barely gets away with 92 HP. So I don't foresee him coming back. He does pop Foe Seeker and all of his other buffs to kind of keep him alive. And it's good he's still alive, because that means that he's not going to get that faction or army-wide debuff of having your Lord having died. I think it's a little bit worse than the Fleeing Lord, and it looks like he is going to rally there. But the bounce of power for the first time in the battle is going to go in the favor of Dov Pays here, and he does have Karl Franz in the pits, fighting against a bunch of spearmen. So the bounce power is so heavily in his favor simply because Karl's so healthy, but there's still also a ton of spears here, and he's easily going to be able to break these state troops. So it's basically going to be Karl Franz versus the world. So KARL's just kind of cleaning up some of these troops, getting some charging action coming in, picking off the chariots as they re-enter the battlefield, which is good. Some outriders, charging those archers, getting rid of the last kind of ranged troops that are available to the High Elves. And the High Elf player knowing that if his dragon goes down here, it could heavily lead to army losses, like really, really quick here. So KARL is going to pop the Reikland Runefang to kind of, buff himself up, and it looks like it does wear off there, but that is a ton of troops left. So probably the best play for Dov at this point is to rally, I was about to say to rally those guns, and they're just like, screw this, we're out of here, is to rally these state troops and use them as a buffer, so then he can hammer through these spearmen without having to worry about being like surrounded and things like that. So he's probably going to wait for stand your ground and all that other stuff. So he does finish off those archers, and I don't think there's any ammunition left on this group. It looks like there's a little bit, but not enough to do a whole lot. But the bounce of power came back towards the middle just a little bit there. So Karl Franz is just going to be waiting for his state troops, probably going to pop stand your ground and some of those other buffs here. So an incredibly close fight, just very well played to both players. And you can see the final charge of the Empire is going to be charging into the spearmen. The desperate High Elves, out of ammunition, have drawn their, what are they? Oh, they actually have pretty cool swords. And you can see Karl Franz, the Emperor, is going to be standing against this spear wall, just fighting. He's not on Deathclaw, so it's not as cool, but he does pop. Oh, he has Galmaraz too, so he's going to get 602 weapon strength right now. And honestly, I think with the support of these state troops who do have stand your ground, putting him at 38 leadership, and they still have 31 models, I think Karl Franz is going to be able to do it. So you can see the archers and other troops are starting to waver, which is going to have kind of a downhill snowball effect for the rest of the troops, and they're actually broken. So Karl Franz is just leading his boys here, and it looks like the High Elves are actually going to break, and the Empire is going to pull that out. So very, very well played to Dov plays as well as Leroy. That was an incredibly close game. There was a couple factors that, had they gone a little bit different for either player, it could have, gone to, either one really. But I like the army. I like the spearmen in the front line. I thought that was good dual purpose utility. They have charge defense. They have anti-large. So against cav, they can be a little bit more durable. They can have the wet noodle contest with the High Elf spearmen. The swordsmen were really solid, 81 and 37. I mean, even after taking a beating from cav charges and chariots. And yeah, it was a fun army composition. The Hellblaster volley gun is something that, I don't know. It's like I've had trouble making it work, but it did get buffed. And I didn't really get to look this game, but I think Dov did some pretty substantial damage against the enemy cav, so perhaps he can answer that in the comments below. And Leroy's army was pretty solid. I think more archers would be good, like honestly, but the chariots did some work too. 73 and 40. I mean, it was just a really close game, but I personally don't like the Star Dragon in this matchup. I think you just go like with a Lord on the ground, like a techless type, and you just use nets to isolate things, and then that allows you to get some more infantry, and perhaps that could have been the way, but I don't know. Honestly, the Dragon did a pretty good job routing a lot of the troops off the battlefield, so he definitely made it work. So very well played to Dov Plays. Make sure to go check out his YouTube channel as well as Leroy, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Empire vs. High Elf game. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.